First it was Cheryl Swoops, and then now it is a good friend of hers, actually, that just lost her damn job, bruh. Yes.
What if I told you the WNBA is quietly, systematically removing people who spent the last year attacking its biggest star, Caitlyn Clark? It sounds wild, almost like a conspiracy, but look at what's happening right now. Just when we thought the dust had settled after one controversial figure was gone, another shoe just dropped.
And I'm telling y'all right now, you gotta pay close attention to what is happening in the W, dog. I spoke about this a few weeks ago. Seemed like every person that wronged Caitlyn Clark in some way, shape, or form is no longer employed, is no longer in this damn league. And everyone else is not there. Look at Kennedy Carter. Kennedy Carter is going on streamer podcasts as of right now to try to get back in the W, bro. I mean, she's trying anything to be relevant, bro. Well, guess what, guys? The proof was in the pudding, because I'm here to tell you she ain't got no damn job right now, and she's going to be going on Gilbert Arenas probably for her next employment.
A few weeks back, we saw Cheryl Swoops removed from the Dallas Wings broadcast team. That felt significant, a team distancing itself. But that wasn't the whole story. It seems that was just the beginning of a larger pattern, a potential league-wide response. Because now Cindy Brunson, a familiar voice with the Phoenix Mercury, a broadcaster who became one of Caitlyn Clark's most vocal critics, has been officially fired. And this wasn't just a slap on the wrist or a reassignment. She's gone from all Mercury broadcasts for the upcoming season. It makes you wonder, is the WNBA finally cleaning house? Cindy Brunson wasn't a global celebrity, but within WNBA circles, she was an established commentator for the Phoenix Mercury. For years, she covered women's basketball professionally. But something shifted drastically when Caitlyn Clark entered the picture. Suddenly, Brunson's commentary felt less like analysis and more like an intense personal campaign against a rising star. It wasn't subtle. It was antagonistic.
We applaud the accomplishment, but it can't truly be appreciated. Not only, you can't truly be appreciated. She showed up to a Caitlyn Clark game wearing Cheryl Swoops shoes. Like, she is as big, like, even looking back on it, she is as big of a Caitlyn Clark hater as there's been.
The pattern began with Brunson's peculiar fixation on undermining Clark's collegiate scoring record. Instead of celebrating this historic achievement, Brunson took every opportunity to discredit it, consistently pushing Cheryl Swoops' accomplishments as somehow more legitimate. This wasn't just a one-time comment or throwaway remark. It became a recurring theme in her commentary, a deliberate attempt to diminish Clark's achievements before she even played her first professional game. But Brunson's campaign against the Fever ecosystem went beyond just targeting Clark. She bizarrely pushed a narrative that Kelsey Mitchell, the Fever's established star at that time, wanted out of Indiana. This claim came despite Mitchell's own words and actions showing her commitment to the team. It was as if Brunson was trying to manufacture drama and division where none existed, potentially damaging team chemistry during a pivotal season for the franchise.
Her peculiar fixation began with undermining Clark's historic collegiate scoring record. Instead of celebrating an undeniable achievement, Brunson seemed determined to discredit it, constantly trying to frame Cheryl Swoops' past accomplishments as somehow more legitimate or earned. This wasn't just one offhand comment. It became a recurring theme, a deliberate attempt to diminish Clark's accomplishments before she even played her first professional game. It set a strange, negative tone right from the start, but Brunson's hostility didn't stop with direct attacks on Clark's records. She bizarrely pushed a narrative claiming Kelsey Mitchell, the Fever's established star, wanted out of Indiana. This was completely contrary to Mitchell's own statements and actions, which showed commitment to the team. It was as if Brunson was trying to manufacture drama and create division within a crucial franchise, potentially damaging team chemistry for no clear reason beyond fueling negativity around the Fever.
Obviously, we've seen her trying to basically get Kelsey Mitchell off the Fever, but someone just said stay the F away from the Fever. Cindy Brunson is saying that she just thought it was a doppelganger situation, and that this wasn't Sydney Colson trying to make fun of Monica Stanano. Then maybe, like, it wouldn't look as bad, but her explanation was awful. But at the same time, like, It was very clearly Sydney Coulson was trying to make fun of a college student. You're almost 50 years old. Why are you on this app causing so much drama? This is the dumbest response ever. It was literally from last year, not years ago, and you were laughing at a professional WNBA player intimating that a young woman in college looks like a man. There's literally date at the bottom. So what's become blatantly obvious that you're really good at holding fans to a different standard you hold yourself, which is worse. And this would be like, she probably could have explained herself better, but like, and in fairness, she did say in hindsight she didn't. But this is the worst tweet. The pictures look like a doppelganger situation. I'm sorry that's not good enough for you, but that's the truth. And the college player was a grad student who was... What the hell does that have to do with anything? She has gone full Cheryl Swoops, and that's not good. It's not good for basketball. It's not good for the Phoenix Mercury. It's not good for her own career. And I do hope that she just deletes the Twitter app. And that is what I've said to Cheryl Swoops. If you are Cindy Brunson, delete the Twitter app right now.
Perhaps most revealing was Brunson's decision to mock Monica Chinano, one of Clark's former Iowa teammates. This wasn't even a WNBA player. It was a college athlete who happened to be close to Clark. By taking shots at someone not central to the WNBA storyline, Brunson showed this wasn't about basketball analysis at all. It seemed deeply personal, extending to anyone within Clark's orbit. When confronted about her commentary, particularly the mocking of Chinano, Brunson's response was telling. Instead of reflecting, she doubled down, dismissing it as just laughing at a doppelganger situation. This inability to acknowledge the impact of her words only amplified concerns about her judgment and agenda.
Not one to celebrate people losing their job, but Cindy Brunson was legit unlistenable on the microphone, and that's not even including the anti-CC stuff. Swoops gone, Brunson gone. They're weeding out of the fools is in full swing. WNBA teams and networks continues this trend and capitalize on their new eyeballs.
The Mercury's decision wasn't a slap on the wrist. It was a complete removal. When teams typically handle problematic broadcasters, there's a well-established damage control playbook. Reassign them to less visible games, issue a carefully worded apology, or impose a brief suspension. But Phoenix chose a different path entirely, scrubbing Brunson from every single broadcast on their 2025 schedule, not just the Fever matchups.
Cindy Brunson, all right? Apparently she has been fired as well. Got clipped. And yeah, if you don't know this person, she was really nasty as well. I didn't necessarily talk about her too much, but yes, she was a nasty individual.
Like nobody. Skip Bayless, to his credit, he knew who Lindsay Whalen was. He knew who Maya Moore was. Wanted to have a conversation. So the fact that Stephen A is using my sister Cheryl Swoops for clicks and likes is horrifying. And I implore everybody that can hear my voice to push back on Stephen A and say, why won't you have Cheryl on? Why won't you have Monica McNutt back? Because they called him out. He just doesn't want to face the truth, and he wants to line up in the narrative behind everybody else that Caitlyn Clark came down the mountain with tablets in her hand to save the WNBA.
To their credit, the Phoenix Mercury organization finally recognized the damage. Brunson's commentary wasn't just controversial, it was hurting the Mercury's brand. In a league striving for growth and mainstream attention, keeping a broadcaster who seemed determined to tear down the league's biggest attraction simply made no business sense. What's significant is how the Mercury handled it. This wasn't a minor correction. It was a complete removal from every broadcast. They didn't just keep her away from Fever games. She was scrubbed entirely from the 2025 schedule. The timing is also telling. They waited until after the 2024 season finished, suggesting a calculated decision made away from the immediate heat of the moment, a thorough evaluation of her overall impact.
Here's a news flash. The W didn't need saving. It just needed promotion. The product has never been the problem. It has always been the promotion. And part of the problem comes from the fact that Stephen A. Smith makes more money than God. So when it came to like showing games at different times of the day and getting advertisers to line up, they had to pay Steven before they could do right by the WNBA at ESPN, which is why ESPN lost out on this new multi-billion-dollar deal that involves 3 different platforms outside of ESPN. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
The Phoenix Mercury revealed a revamped 2025 local broadcast lineup without any mention of Cindy Brunson.
Behind the scenes, it's reasonable to assume the Mercury faced pressure from multiple directions. While specifics aren't public, the extensive nature of her removal hints at concerns beyond just fan reactions. The WNBA itself, invested in protecting its rising stars and marketability, likely had a say. Sponsors, too, probably weren't thrilled with commentary that undermined one of the league's major draws. Fan reactions throughout the season were undoubtedly a significant factor. Social media was filled with criticism of Brunson's commentary, with viewers becoming increasingly vocal, often directly tagging the team. When fans are publicly expressing embarrassment about your broadcaster, that creates substantial pressure no organization can ignore. This all aligns with the WNBA's broader efforts to combat toxicity and establish a more professional environment around the league's stars.
Like, the Dallas Wings have left off Mrs. Cheryl Swoops on the broadcasting team for the 2025 season. If you guys remember, Cheryl Swoops, she was on the broadcasting team last year, right?
In a move that's sending shockwaves through WNBA media circles, Swoopes has been quietly scrubbed from the league-sponsored Queens of the Court podcast. This isn't speculation. The podcast cover art has been updated to remove her image, and her name has vanished from recent episode credits.
Now, let's circle back to Cheryl Swoops. Her removal from the Dallas Wings initially seemed like an isolated team decision, but now there's concrete evidence of something more coordinated happening at the league level. In a move that flew somewhat under the radar, but sent shockwaves through WNBA media, Swoopes has been quietly scrubbed from the league-sponsored Queens of the Court podcast. This isn't speculation. The podcast cover art was updated to remove her image, and her name vanished from recent episode credits without any announcement. When a Hall of Famer disappears from league content shortly after being dropped by a team, it's impossible not to connect the dots.
But now there's a story that goes with it. It looks like they booted Swoopes from the Queens of Court podcast. Now, Just Jordan has a podcast and she has guests on. The WNBA listened to the new fans, looked at the facts, and acted accordingly.
This second removal from a league-level platform reveals something deeper, something that goes beyond her commentary on Clark. Swoopes' history as a college coach offers crucial context. At Loyola University Chicago, she was fired amid deeply troubling reports. Former players described an emotionally volatile environment, recounting instances where Swoopes allegedly cried during practices, threatened scholarships, and inappropriately shared personal information. A mass exodus of players followed. This history of belittling and humiliating athletes creates a concerning pattern. When you look at her broadcasting comments about Clark, like questioning the legitimacy of her scoring record because of an extra college year, or claiming Clark took 40 shots a game, they don't seem like innocent mistakes. They appear calculated to diminish a rising star, echoing a pattern of behavior seen in her coaching tenure.
It seems like the WNBA is listening to the fan base, right? Not just going after podcasters or just YouTubers, but going after the ones that are tied into the WNBA media. And I'm glad to see this, man. I'm glad to see them cleaning it up. Because last year was abysmal, man. Was abysmal. I mean, you had asinine take on asinine takes, all right? And it really had nothing to do with basketball. They just hated this woman. Hated this young lady, man. And it was ridiculous.
The simultaneous removal of both Swoopes and Brunson from their respective roles around the same time points strongly to a deliberate league-wide strategy. Two former players turned broadcasters, two vocal Clark critics, both gone from prominent positions linked to the league or its teams. The probability of these being mere coincidences is practically zero. While the WNBA hasn't issued a dramatic press release stating, "We're firing people who dislike Caitlyn Clark," their actions speak volumes. By removing voices perceived as detrimental to its biggest draw from both team broadcasts and league-sponsored content, the WNBA is sending an unmistakable message.
Fan reactions throughout the season likely played a significant role in this decision. Social media was ablaze with criticism of Brunson's commentary, with viewers becoming increasingly vocal about their dissatisfaction. One fan on Twitter didn't mince words. She is just 100% a disgrace. No if and or buts about it. Has no business being in any sports job, period. Another pointed out what they saw as an attention-seeking pattern. She is clearly trying to get attention. If you notice, before she joined the hate wagon, she barely had any interaction on her page. Joins the haters, and now she has more engagement. How sad to treat young women the way she is. Phoenix Mercury should be embarrassed.
So, would you say you're protecting or helping Caitlyn Clark with this type of statement that you dropped last year? How about you press Cheryl Swoops to do the right thing and stop picking on Caitlyn Clark? Stop saying nonsense about Caitlyn Clark. Stop the race hate with Caitlyn Clark. You so ready to press somebody, press your friend, press your sister.
And we all know this was a Caitlyn Clark hate fest last year, right? I mean, seriously. And there they are. That's the old cover for the podcast. And this is the new one.
Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players.
You asked me about Caitlyn. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player said it.
Okay.
Right?
College coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
This coordinated effort suggests WNBA leadership is taking a more active role in shaping the public narrative around its players, particularly its bankable stars. Protecting players like Clark isn't just about perceived fairness, it's about protecting their investment in the future of the league. When your rookie phenom drives unprecedented viewership, merchandise sales, and mainstream attention, allowing broadcasters to constantly undermine her legitimacy or attack her orbit is simply bad business. The question now becomes, who might be next? Have other broadcasters who've been overly critical of Clark reassessed their approach? A new standard for WNBA commentary appears to have been established. Criticism needs to be fair, accurate, and professional, or there will be consequences.
One former Loyola player, Kate Swan, delivered a particularly damning assessment. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean you're a great coach. This history of belittling and humiliating players at Loyola creates a concerning pattern that continued into her broadcasting career, where her comments about Clark weren't innocent mistakes but appeared calculated to diminish a rising star's achievements.
That she mistreated players.
It was the environment she created. I was belittled, humiliated, made to feel extremely small.
Head coach since 2013. Last year, 5 of her players reportedly transferred to different programs. And this year, a reported 10 of the team's 12 players aren't planning on coming back.
Years. Well, Caitlyn should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Ops are dropping. First Cheryl Swoops, now Cindy Brunson. Who else of the Hatelins got the axe this season? So you mean to tell me that the NBA, and by default trickling down, as in Adam Silver probably called Kathy Engelbert and said, you know what we're going to do here? We're not going to have all this hating on the player I did a video on earlier, the women's player, the female player that is second in NBA jersey sales. Somebody got the memo about revenue. And this is a good look. It is. I'm not going to act like it's not. Sounds like the league's getting more professional, getting rid of the clowns. G-Unit pointing it out. NBA would increase the WNBA's revenue sharing pie, but it would insist on having say in who the WNBA uses as their mouthpieces. G-Unit, pretty smart on this one. Maybe broadcasters realize the Caitlyn Clark fan club has the biggest fan base. Just hope the replacements are more unbiased.
The numbers don't lie. The WNBA just had a record-breaking season, heavily influenced by Caitlyn Clark's arrival. The league seems to be finally waking up to what fans have known. Stars like Clark are the key to the future. By cutting ties with potentially toxic voices like Brunson and Swoopes, the WNBA is signaling its direction ahead of 2025. The days of tearing down the league's biggest assets appear to be over. Women's basketball deserves commentary that builds, not undermines, and it seems it's finally starting to get it.